Not sure. Okay, I think we're live now. Hello, everyone. Thank you ever so much for tuning in on to the Heinz Report Case Files edition. We are live once again, going through the transcripts for the Jonathan Majors trial. We are looking back into that trial like we do with other cases, and this is the first time ever I've got to use this format, and use this format for its intended purpose. That's what I'm trying to say, because that's what it's for. The case files is to literally go through transcripts or any document pertaining to a particular case that we may have gotten hold of. Thanks to Katt Wagner, who you may know as Good Take Bad Take. Her YouTube channel is in the description. She has got her hands on these documents from the court report and done so much service, because now we get to actually see the receipts. We actually get to fact check what has been reported. We get to pretty much have the record out there, and we see what really went down on at least for today, at least for today's code read. It will be for the 5th of December 2023, because if you remember, the mainstream media has really obfuscated or omitted a lot of information. Not a lot has gone out there, so we are really going to look into that. But before we start, I just want to say, please do like this video and share this video as well, because it does help the YouTube algorithm, especially with the live. Let's get as much people in here as possible, so that we can go through this case and pretty much get the truth of this case out there, because a lot of it has been tried to sweep under the rug, but we're gonna do that. Also, do not forget, of course, subscribe to the channel for more coverage of legal cases. Just to quickly recap before we go back into reading Grace Jabbari's transcripts and her direct testimony, we gone through Officer Swain, who was the arresting officer on that fateful day on the 25th of March, and his testimony. Just to give a cliff notes, because you can watch the entire coverage should you wish, but to give a cliff notes of what had actually gone on the 8th of December when he testified. He basically testified to seeing vomit on the bed. Well, it was solicited from him on the cross exam, because it wasn't really in the direct exam. He didn't know that Grace was texting her friend Holly Blakey before he had found her unconscious on the floor. And this was, in my opinion, it was a shock to him based on his answers. Obviously, you can't really see mannerisms from a transcript, etc. But from what I could gather in terms of reading the words, this was a shock to him, that he didn't know, he didn't have an idea that that Grace was messaging her friend. We then went on to read Holly Blakey's transcript. Not yesterday, I believe. Yes, yesterday. Before moving on to Grace Jabbari. Again, all these streams, they are collated in a playlist. You can go check out that playlist in the description, and you can binge watch and get all the details of this case because we have been covering this case since its inception. So definitely 100% go and check that out and familiarize yourself with the case. But to give a cliff notes of what happened with Ollie Blakey's testimony, which was also on the same day as Officer Swain on the 8th of December 2023. Holly Blakey was basically testifying that her and Grace were messaging for 2 hours straight, messaging and also calling as well. This was from 8 a.m. Eastern time, and Grace had also sent pictures to her, etc. If you're, if at this moment it doesn't, a light bulb hasn't rang up in your head, I'm gonna do it right now, because in that moment, cast your mind back to the body cam. You can clearly see Grace passed out in the body cam. She was found, and Jonathan even had to pick up um a blanket. I believe he had to pick up a blanket to go and cover Grace because her, that was showing, etc. And that's what he was doing. But again, she was passed out when she was lifted up. You could see it on the body cam. But Holly is saying that she was actually, talking with her, and they were having a Korean conversation. She tried to say, a transcript, not a transcript, sorry. It was her previous statement to the DA, to the prosecutor, I should say, was brought in, where she was basically saying that that Grace was hysterical, I believe, or she could not follow anything that Grace was basically saying, that she wasn't speaking in a non-linear fashion. She tried to clear that up when that was brought up to her, because now in the trial, as she was testifying, she was basically saying that Grace was basically fine. She was coherent, etc. But before the trial in June, that wasn't the case. She was like, she can't make out anything that Grace was saying. So we're gonna dive right back into Grace Jabbari's direct testimony, because we stopped at page 41, but I'm gonna go straight to page 40 and just give a direct recap of this, to basically just run through it one more time for those that came in, just run through where we stopped last time. Once again, we're gonna try and speed through this, because I'm gonna try and keep the live to 1 hour 30 minutes. And so for those that missed the last live, because we did cover this yesterday, you can go watch that after this live, should you want to catch up. But we went through a bit of Grace testimony, and she was basically setting a foundation for how her and Jonathan met. They had met on the South Ant-Man, and basically they had an incident which Grace was talking about Jonathan's dogs, and how she was and how Jonathan did not like the fact that, I guess how she was acting with the dogs, if I'm not mistaken. Like she said, he made a big deal out of that, which was weird to me. But nonetheless, that's the cliff notes. I believe we stopped there because they went on a few dates. She said they went to Glastonbury. Well, sorry, not they. She went to Glastonbury, and he didn't like it. And so we're now here, and we're gonna pick up from there. But before we do, let's just say, hello, Solodaf, welcome to the chat. Just so she said Grace was drunk and high. Oh, yes, that's what she didn't really say Grace was drunk, to be quite fair. She just basically said that in June, mind you, in June 2023, before the trial, she just basically said that Grace was not she couldn't make sense of her. She was not really coherent, couldn't not speaking. That's what she tried to rationalize it as. But her own words were, and I believe I believe it was, I don't want to misquote, I believe her own words were, you know what, let me not misquote, let me just get the transcript back up, just so that I don't make any errors with that, because it is quite an important testimony that she had there, and I believe it was page. I believe it was page. Let me. Always easier to just search this. Okay, right. Okay, so this was the last time. He says, Ms. Blakey, isn't it true that on June 16th you had a phone call with the district attorney's office, and on that day with Ms. Galloway and a paralegal from their office? Yes, it said yes to all of that. I can't remember. It's like, okay, and this key part says, and isn't it true during that phone call you were discussing the with the DA? This is that conversation with Miss Grace on the morning of March 25th. Said yes, and it's important to be accurate in that conversation. Correct? Yes, and you were accurate in that conversation. Correct? To as much as I remember, yes. Okay, so ignoring all of that, because you can just go watch all of that in the previous stream. But going here. Right. So this was the question that was asked. Priya Chaudhary, who was cross-examining her, basically says, Miss Blakey, isn't it true that during that phone call with the district attorney's office, while you were discussing your phone call with Miss Jabbari on the morning of March 25th, you said that she was not making much sense? Yes, in a wider context, yes, in a wider conversation. So you can tell that this completely took you can tell that this completely took Holly Blakey by surprise, because she did not really expect that kind of question to hit, but it did. And she was trying to rationalize it, saying that it was a wider context of the conversation, that there was more to it. But what you said before will always have more effect than what you're trying to say now, because of course time has passed. You're going to be most likely be coached, or most likely you're just gonna see things that's going to make you feel a lot more sympathetic, that your answers may change. But it's very important that she did say she was not making much sense. She sounded a lot more restrained from speaking back then in June than now, because right after this testimony, and this is important, right after this testimony, she went on Instagram and posted in support of Grace. To me, knowing that she said this in June, and knowing what's going on in court on the 8th with a question Priya asked, that post sounds like, oh my God, I could have tanked your case. So let me try and show my public support, because I know what I said could have really tanked your case. Because end of the day, every question that she was answering, she had to obviously she had to answer truthfully, etc. And they had proof that they were messaging, etc. Those do not look good if there's a body cam footage of the person that you're testifying in support of, I would say, because of and it comes out that she was messaging you all this time, and somehow she ends up being passed out with the police. That's not making sense. But anyway, I'm gonna get off right there and just go straight into the testimony of Grace Jabbari, which is this one here. So on page 40, let me just continue reading. It says, as soon as I got into further out, when I drove back, I stopped in a service station, and I tried to call him and text him and try to contact him, basically, and said, I'm out of it. I have service now here. Like I said, they were in Glastonbury. Sorry, not they. Sorry, again, did it again. She was in Glastonbury. So, and she was trying to get hold of Jonathan to basically speak with Jonathan, as she's claiming here. So, did you get in contact with the defendant at that point? He wouldn't answer the phone, but I did text him. Were you eventually able to get in contact with the defendant? Yeah, he would text me. He would text me some texts. What was the substance of those messages, if you remember? Yeah, he just said that he was like so disappointed in me. I like, how dare I? He thought he could trust me with our relationship, with the fact I was just embarrassing, and like, you are just out there drinking with your friends and you don't care about me, and like, I'm really having a hard week. You shouldn't have been there. You should have known to turn around as soon as you got there, and there was no signal. Right. This was all in response to not being able to communicate with him. Yeah. And you said the defendant wasn't answering his calls. Yes, correct. Uh how long approximately was it until you were able to speak with the defendant? I can't tell you exactly how many days. I think there were potentially have been like a few phone calls, but he was working as well, so I don't think he spoke. I don't think we spoke on the phone for a few days. Uh, and what did you do in response to the limited communication? I just tried to make him feel secure again, like I did love him, and that I would be there for him, and I understood that I had misplaced his trust by going. uh and that I would never do that again. Like I promised him I would never go somewhere without him, without service. Like I would turn around. And I just felt regretful that I had upset him in that way, and he wasn't talking to me. So I was just saying that I knew him around. I I knew I knew everything I knew turns him around from those kinds of moods. Just basically filling him with love and security, I guess. You said that you wasn't speaking with it. You said that he. Sorry, guys. Let me just. Okay. You said he wasn't speaking with you. Do you understand that he was working? Did you understand that was because he was working? Objection asked and answered. No, that's overruled. You can answer that. So you may repeat that. Yes, you said he wasn't speaking with you. Did you understand that was because he was working? He wasn't speaking to me because he was angry at me for going to the festival. Objection, speculation. He told me that. Overruled. All right. Did there come a time when he did not speak to you again? Yes. And what did he say to you in substance? It was when I said, Grace answered saying, it was when I said that I would go places without my friends, and that he was my priority. He then was like, you don't have to say that, but it means a lot. Then we kind of just picked up back to normal. Did this incident impact your behavior in the relationship moving forward? Yeah. Also, my relationship was when I wasn't with him, if that makes sense. Can you explain to the members of the jury? Sorry, I'm not talking to you. Yeah. Yeah. Just more, I would feel anxious if I was with my friends. I wasn't talking to him constantly because I would worry. Yeah, I just worried about the reaction. Something tells me, and I'm going to sidebar for a second here. Something we all know about those audios. Something tells me that she's omitting a lot. She's omitting a lot, and she's misrepresenting a lot, likely because already I could already tell just by reading into this that there's a lot of misrepresentation of what he may have been talking about in regards to this, because she felt she just said secure. So I don't know what they she says that, oh, I try to make him feel secure again. Well, how do you know he's being insecure? How do you know he's being insecure? You might say in rebuttal to that, we know how people feel sometimes. We get that feeling to make that judgment. But again, the point I'm trying to make is, if you really were caring, because it's like this is like a tell now. If you're really caring about how he felt and you're trying to make him feel secure, then it wouldn't make sense that when you go out to the pub, knowing this was in June, by the way, June 2022, Glastonbury. So September comes down now after Toronto Film Festival. After all of that, it wouldn't make sense for you to be declaring this under oath, and then you had gone out and got drunk. he's saying you got drunk and you're coming back with your friends. That's in direct conflict with what you are saying right here, right now, because it puts this into question, is what I'm trying to say. Like, because now I'm wondering what dynamic did you two have that you're now saying, oh, I didn't want to upset him. He was being insecure. She didn't say he was being insecure, by the way. Just that she was trying to fill him with security, which obviously the inverse of that is insecure. But the point is, you were trying to do that. Well, you're admitting failure here if you went out again. I hope you know where I'm coming from with that. So Solo Dove says this Glastonbury thing comes across as weird. I don't know why exactly. I think there's a lot more to that story than what she's saying here, because I personally don't get it. I'm trying to figure out, why would you bring this up? Why would you bring this up in during this testimony? It doesn't. It's anyway. I'm gonna go back to the reading, but before I do that, hey Flavio, welcome to the welcome to the stream and the chat. Thank you for leaving a message. Grace describing him as neurotic, insecure, and possessive, but she is the one that was running after him. Facts. Absolute facts. Let's go back to this. Absolute facts. Right. So Grace Jabbari says directing your attention to July. This is the Galloway. Judge says, all right, before you go there, I'll be doing this after each one of these. I just want to let you know that you just heard the testimony about incidents between Ms. Jabbari and Mr. Major, that happened in June of 2022. And again, that evidence was not offered and must not be considered for the purpose of proving that the defendant had a propensity or predisposition to commit the crimes charged in this case. It is offered as evidence for your consideration as background information. If you find that the evidence is believable, you may consider it for that limited purpose and for no other. So what the judge is admonishing the jury here with is basically saying that what you've heard is not evidence to prove that he did this. It's just for consideration as the likelihood of him doing it. So if you find it credible, you can use it to consider alongside. So basically, imagine two tiers. This is a Sharpie pen. This is clearly greater because you can write on boards with this, while this one is only limited to a paper. But this one is not limited to a paper because you can still write on the paper and you can still write on the board. So when you pick up this Sharpie, this is like proving that Jonathan did hit someone or assault someone. While this is the background evidence that you're giving. So this cannot be used to prove the assault, but this can be. So if this is the actual weapon, that's proof. If this thick, it wouldn't be proof. I don't know how to explain it. I hope you get that little analogy. I just thought that'd be. I thought it made sense at the time, but I hope because I remember this being a massive thing, because it, to be honest, if we're confused by this, because I was as well at first, and then the more he repeated it, well, the more that I read it now, I'm like, oh, I get why he was explaining it that way. So, but it is confusing, and if I'm confused, the jury was confused with this, most likely. But I do think they definitely leaned in on the text messages to say that he did it, rather than consider it, if that makes sense. I think they literally said, okay, those text messages, those audios prove that he did it. We're just gonna find whatever it is to say he did it. When again, I don't. Well. Nate the lawyer dropped in on the last stream, so you can go check that out. He did actually explain as well, the process in them likely finding guilt with Jonathan Majors. Anyway, moving on. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Galloway, and I'm sorry, Chap, for taking long with that one. Moving on. So it says, directing your attention to July of 2022. Where are you? In between the UK and Los Angeles. Okay, where were you in LA to visit Jonathan? And what was the defendant doing in LA? He was filming, working. And how long were you in LA? I would go for like a week at a time or a little longer. We kind of made this a rule. We wouldn't ever spend more than 3 weeks apart. It would be like 3 weeks max. That will be it. So you were in LA. What was the defendant's demeanor like at the time? Well, he was filming where he was being a bodybuilder, and he was in a really strict diet and training regime. He had a lot of pressure. As I said earlier, like producing and leading in a film. So his demeanor was stressed. I guess if that's a description of a demeanor. Yes. And how did that impact your relationship? It felt a bit like I was just kind of walking around on eggshells. Like it was just very but like it was just very it was just very had to kind of be perfect, because if I did one little thing that was maybe said one thing and the tempo would kind of show, and I just wanted to avoid it because I wasn't working when I was there. I was working in London, so I felt like I would just try to make it seamless as possible for him. Why do I get the feeling she's coached? I just get the feeling that she's been coaching this. I can't explain it, and I wish I was doing this like really with a lawyer. But I feel coaching from this. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like this is something either coached by a lawyer or by an expert somewhere, because this is really, let me not speculate. Let me continue. It says, and there come a time when the defendant did become upset with you. Yeah. Can you describe to the members of the jury? I'm sorry. It's okay. Take your time. Oh, sorry, Ms. Jabbari. If you ever need a break, just let us know. We could take a brief recess. Okay, said the for you, said the judge. Grace responds, "I'm sorry." The judge says, "Okay, just let us know." So Grace responds, "Okay, sorry." Yeah, I could tell he was really tense, so I just kind of like wanted to. I just basically went over to him and said like, "What's wrong? You can talk about these things. You don't have to hold it all inside. What's wrong?" Basically, I just tried to say like, "It's me. Like, just talk it out. If you're stressed, it's good to just get it." Like, I don't know why. I don't know why. Every time I'm saying this loving bit, I really want to know how you got from that to "I'm gonna chase you half of Manhattan for your phone." Like it's not clicking. But let's move on. And I'm sure she must have seen the footage, the court footage. She must have seen it. So I maybe things were really like this, you know. But again, I feel like a lot of this could be misstated, and I did wish that Jonathan did testify, because he did say he felt like he didn't have to, but he could have cleared up a lot of these background information. But moving on, it says, and during the course of this conversation, did the defendant become more upset with you? Objection leading, yeah. Overruled, yes. How so? He just exploded, basically, is the word I would use to describe it. Yeah. Can you explain what the defendant's body language was like? Tense. Yeah, his face kind of changes when he gets back into that place. He's a big guy, so you just want to step back. What do you mean by the word exploded? Yeah, it was like a violent temper. He was full of rage and aggression, and he was throwing things, shouting in my face, throwing objects. And I will allow a little bit of leading. Okay, so you can lead a little on this. That's okay. You're allowed to lead a little bit. Can you? I don't know. I don't know if that's abuse of discretion, or sorry, not abuse of discretion. I don't know the exact word for it, but I don't know if that's abuse of powers. Maybe let me put it like that, because leading question, like, if you're like, you might as well just have allowed in prejudicial evidence then, because what you're leading him to do is basically say, yeah, this guy is going to, this is to prove that he did assault, not really consideration, because this is still background. This is still the background information that he's letting in. So what's the point of reading the jury this if you're just going to allow the prosecution to lead anyway on things like this? But I'm not the judge. I'm not even a lawyer. I'm not even a doctor. So we're just going to move on. I'm just a guy that lives in mom's bed. I don't live in my mom's basement. I thought it would be a funny joke. Let me move on. It says, where were you in relation to the defendant at that point? This is ADA Galloway. He says, I was just trying to get away from him. How many bedrooms did you have where you were staying? There were 3 bedrooms. But were you in the master at the time? You mentioned sorry. There were 3 bedrooms, but we were in the master at the time. You mentioned that the defendant was throwing things. Where was he when he was throwing things? He started off very close to me, and I left and kind of tried to hide a bit, and then heard walking around, just try to use my words to calm him down. And you said he was very close to you. Could you describe to the members of jury how close you were to the defendant when he probably was stood like where you were? So I'm guessing 2 feet. Most likely, I can't see the courtroom, but I'm guessing it's quite small. It wasn't that far. Could you explain the layout? Okay, so we're gonna sidebar here for a second. I'm just gonna go straight to the chat. It's not evidence, but it can be. What if I told you? Like, yeah, like is she asked a great question here, because that's what I was trying to explain earlier. So imagine I'm gonna try my best to attempt the explanation before. So pen is limited. The pen is limited to paper, whilst because you can write on paper, but you can't write more so on walls with pen, because sometimes it could dry out or blah blah. And you can't write on a whiteboard with a pen. So that's the consideration of the previous evidence. As I understand it, that will be considering the text messages, what Grace is testifying to the background of the relationship. Then you have this, which is the Sharpie, that can go on paper, that can pretty much go on anywhere, the walls, etc., whiteboard, whatever, and that would be whatever happened on the day to cause the injuries, all those things. So that's what they can consider to prove what Jonathan did, but they can't consider the pen, if that makes sense. Sorry, but they can't use the pen to prove what he did, because the pen is only limited to the paper, which is the background information, the paper being the background information. I hope that makes sense, because that's the way I understand it. That's the only way it makes sense to me, but I hope that makes sense to you. I'm not a lawyer, not legal advice, not offering anything like that. It's just the best way I can break that down. The best way I understand it. Solo Dove says, is jumbo word salad? Yes, yes, it is. Flavio Sue, I'm guessing you mean what she was trying to explain in regards to the filming, and why. Glastonbury, I'm meaning opposite, right? Flavius User says, Jonathan mentioned on Gmail going thing on the floor, not her. Exactly. This is why I did wish he did testify, so that you look at that, because it's very choppy. But yeah, throwing, but that didn't make it to the news. That did make it to newspapers, and they said, and their papers were actually reporting that he was throwing candles on the floor, etc. And he did clear it up. He said, no, I was really far away from her, and I lost my temper at that point. And like I said, it just seems to me, just by reading this, that she's you can tell misrepresentation. You can tell when there's more to the story. The more she speaks, I'm like, there's more to this. Because the audios that I'm hearing, even you trying to present yourself as an angel that could do no wrong, that was just trying to support him, is not really supported by the audios. Because if you're really doing this hard, if you're really making all these changes for him, there is no way, and I mean absolutely no way, you would be found to have been going to a club, etc. Because again, you would feel, I don't know. I like, especially in July, like the club happening maybe would be like, I could try and give her the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, September, 2 months, she probably thought, okay, things are better now, so maybe I can go out, and then that happens, the audio happens. Fair enough, that could line up. But again, there's more problems here in July. So June, July, and then August, there was more problems. So what would give you the inkling to go out? If this was really the conversation, you see what I mean? Like, it's not, that's what's not measuring or making sense to me. But anyway, going back to this, page 47 says, so the judge says, do you want to state for the record that distance? Galloway says yes, approximately between the witness and the first juror. I can't see it, so I don't know. All right, and approximately how far is that, would you say? Like, I mean, I don't know the words, but I would say like a meter, 1,000 centimeters. I don't know what that is in. Could you explain the layout of that room? Yes, it's like, so there's a master bedroom, a double bed, and then a space around it. But then behind it is like the closet, which you could also walk around, and behind the closet was the bathroom, which you could also walk around. So there was no doors. It's like, yeah, the bed, the closet, and the bathroom. Yeah. And where was the defendant standing in relation to this? It started off in the bathroom section, and then as I kind of tried to get away to the bedroom, that's when he started throwing things, and then it kind of stayed in that area. You see what I mean? So what you're telling me here is that the throwing things happened at a distance, not as close as you were saying. This is the little tells that is now confirming she's misrepresenting this whole event. Because, well, when did he throw it? Because you said he threw it when you were close to him, like a meter, and now you're saying he started throwing things when you were in the bedroom, or were all running into the bedroom. This is telling me that he actually threw those things to the ground in anger when you were in the bedroom. That's what your brain is associating it here. That's what your brain is trying to tell us here, that you were in the bedroom when the things were thrown. Because either it started when he was 1 meter away from you, or when you were in the bedroom. Which one is it? Because anyway, it says try to get away to the bedroom. That's when he started throwing things. Doesn't make sense. You try to get away. Anyway, moving on. And then it kind of stayed in that area, because once it was in that like rage. Sorry, yeah. Once that started, this was maybe in the bedroom area. See, see. If you're following this, you can tell she's leaving stuff out a lot. And it most likely has to do with her behavior. Not saying that it's right to, like, because anyway, Jonathan did say on Good Morning America that no, he lost it. He brushed the things to the floor, and that's how that ended there. But he never threw it in a direction. She's confirming that here tacitly. That's how she's confirming it. Because she's saying all this started maybe in the bedroom area. So what happened between you in the bedroom and going to the bedroom? I can bet you any money, based on what I've seen and based on our behaviors in public, where everyone can see you. Based on that, I can tell there was moments in which they were both shouting. She was shouting at him, he was shouting at her, and she's minimizing her part to create and put these little parts in there so that she can explain how she got into the bedroom. But you can't miss the truth, because end of the day, your brain is telling you, no, he threw it when you were in the bedroom. That's what your brain is telling you. And you kind of have to go with that, because you don't want to lie to yourself now. Oh, do you? That's crazy. You want to lie about him, not yourself. So you were in the bedroom when he threw things. That's the truth. You can't you don't want to gaslight yourself, basically. That's the truth. Moving on, I'm not an expert. Just want to make that clear. I'm not actually a doctor, so I don't really know. I just like trying BS sometimes. Moving on, what kind of objects was the defendant throwing? Just just anything in his kind of reaching distance, which is just kind of like candles and like, yeah, bedroom objects. Okay, well, he said as much. So you said you were trying to hide. Where did you go in the apartment? I just went to like the kind of bit in between the closet and things like that. That's interesting. I'll I'll get to that in a bit. I walked around so that I could see where he was, as to know he wasn't going to come for me. And you were able to see the defendant at that point. Yeah. Okay. What if anything did you hear? He was really shouting, really, just really angry. Yeah. How were you feeling at that point? Yeah, scared and knowing that I needed to calm him down because I wanted him to stop. So you were in. I'll get to that in a bit. I'm showing defense counsel. You know what? Then now is a good time to go into it. Before going to it, let me just quickly say, please, do like this stream, share this stream as well. It really helps out with the algorithm. Share it so that people can join in and be part of this transcript reading, because a lot of these stuff wasn't really reported by the press or anything like that. So you're going to see the full facts on full display here. We're going through Grace Jabbari's testimony, and yeah, I'm just gonna go and read a couple of the chats right now. So the Dove, thank you so much for this chat. It says there is more to this than what's being said, for sure. Of course, it's like the old lady in the JD trial saying he threw the wine ball at her. Exactly. And to be quite fair, too, because I know who you're talking about, Ellen Barkin. To be quite fair, Ellen Barkin didn't say he threw it at her. She said he threw it at the assistant, and it hit the wall in the vicinity where she was standing, but it wasn't actually directly at her. So I don't know what to make of that story, because I do think that I do think that she could have misrepresented that a little bit, in the sense that to try and make it seem like it was aimed at her. But again, I'm being fair, giving her the benefit of the doubt. It wouldn't be at a distance, in my opinion, because what she was describing in that case was the assistant, etc., were standing outside. So how does the bottle now find its way inside to your vicinity? So I could see a bit of misstating there in terms of where she placed the assistant and JD. It would have just been straight. So if she had said, I saw him throw the ball as assistant and that was it, fine, that's even the truth. But for it to be in her area when she has said definitively that she wasn't near the assistant, that's sus to me. So it's kind of, yes. So that example is very similar to this, because the truth is in there somewhere based on the foundation that's given. But the thing here is, at least with Grace Jabbari, the foundation that she's given is really shaky at first, saying that she was close to him, then leaving. But before she left, he had thrown the stuff on the floor. After she left into the bedroom, he had thrown the stuff on the floor and start. How many times? So I know she is definitely misstating things, definitely to the point that most likely he had thrown. Sorry, most likely they were in like I said, I really believe they were in a shouting match or something like that, and she's minimizing her behavior, which is why she's padding a lot of these details in. That's really irrelevant and repeating herself, but then placing herself where she really was, because again, you can't gaslight yourself. You can't lie to yourself, because when you're lying to yourself, you basically admitting that you're crazy, basically. Hey Denise, thank you so much for joining. So the says hide and seek skills are so bad for her. To be quite fair, going back to that, the closet, because if she's in the closet hiding, why did she? It's like again, it's like mixing memories, because she was found in the closet, but she's hiding in the closet, and then the next part of what she says really boggles my mind, because she's like, I'm trying to calm him down. So you get out of the closet, basically. You can't climb him down from the closet because she's like, oh, I'm unless she said I'm thinking, because but I don't really see it here. I'll just go back to it. I don't really see it here. It says I walked around so that I could see where it was, so as to know it doesn't come for me. So she says I went kind of in between the closet and things like that. I walked around to see where it was, so as to he wasn't gonna come for me. And he says he was really shouting, really angry, scared and knowing that I needed to calm him down, but I wanted to stop. So she's not really in the closet, she's just around the closet, and she's trying to basically calm him down from what I'm reading here. Right. uh Back to the prosecution. I'm showing defense counsel and handing the witness what's pre-marked as People's Exhibit 6, Your Honor. Priya chimes in saying, Your Honor, I thought they were going to redact the hearsay at the top. I didn't understand they were going to leave it on the exhibit. And then the sidebar for this. So all right, we had a discussion on the sidebar, and I believe at this point, Ms. Chaudhry, you withdraw your objection. Yes. People 6 marked for identification being shown to the witness. Ms. Jabbari, do you reckon that was the court officer, by the way? So ADA says, assistant DA, when I say that, says, sorry about this. Assistant DA says, Ms. Jabbari, do you recognize that? Yes. What do you recognize it to be? Some of the objects that he had thrown. Where was that photo taken? I was in the bedroom there. So that's the same picture that you saw on the Good Morning America. That would be the same picture. I can't find it right now to kind of give you a visual representation. Let me just quickly look for it. If I can find it, I will share it. Let me quickly, if I'm going to give myself 10 seconds for this, because I am trying to speed this so that I can basically so that I can not spend too long on stream and then keep this flowing continually. Yes, that's the picture. Found it. I'm going to share the tab right now. Let's go to it. That's the picture right now. So that's what he swiped over from the table. That would be the table most likely, and that's also part of it, etc. Already I can see that this is very misrepresented because basically the reason why I can see that there's a misrepresentation is because she basically said he was throwing things. This doesn't look like something that's thrown. This looks like something that you was in a bunch somewhere and then you knock it over. It will be like this. In my opinion, it will be like this. Let me go to the chat. So that's also an important question. Are exhibits attached to the doc? Not really doc. This is all I have is a transcript. I don't know where to really gather these exhibits outside of the core information, which I don't have, unfortunately. I haven't really gone to look for the exhibits. I'll do put my hands up on that one. So I'm going by the press because most of the key exhibits is out. I will, for the next reading, I will do my best to get hold of those exhibits. Denise Oates says you can tell it a swipe off a table scene and not a throw because all the stuff would not be together on the floor. Yeah, a throw would be scattered. It would be scattered everywhere. This is very bunched. This is very clean. This is a very neat scene. I'm gonna go back to it really quickly. It's a very neat scene. This is very neat. So like the only even like is that a bag or I don't know, but this is I believe this is the part that was the look, and this is a representation. This part here would be a representation of how the room normally is and how uh he normally, all the things are normally stacked in the house in this neat fashion, which would create a mess like this. Should it be here on here or maybe on a table here? I don't know if it's a table. All I'm seeing is if it was here, most likely here, and then on the floor, no idea, because this is aftermath. So I don't know. It could be thrown, but I've never seen something that is thrown. Yeah, that's a very good point. No scraps on the on from the candle here in the wall. Again, this is broken, obviously, but again, things can break from being, depends on the aggression. But I'm not seeing anything that if because the only thing that will cause that to break or break like that would likely be hit on the wall. I'm not seeing that, but I am seeing particles here that split open. So it could have, in my opinion, something could have hit on the wall, but I don't know what's gonna cause this to be like this. And but again, non expert. I'm not via FBI or anything like that. So let's move on. It says, where was the photo taken? I was in the bedroom there. Wow. Where were you? Well, where were you in LA where the photo was taken? Yes. Which part of LA? West Hollywood. What date was it taken? 9th of July 2022. Is this a fair and accurate description of the objects the defendant threw on July 9th, 2022? Yeah. I now offer People's Exhibit 6.6 into evidence. Any objection? Would you like to void here? That's what the judge asks. Prayer? No objection, no void here. Okay, judge says, thank you very much. People 6 for identification will now be accepted into evidence without objection as people 6 in evidence. Ms. Galloway says, we just asked to publish it for the members of the jury. It was being okay, what that means, published to the jury, means we're going to show it to you. Could you, Ms. Jabbari, could you explain? Let them. All right, Ms. Galloway. All the members of jury have now seen the exhibit, Ms. Jabbari. So Galloway responds with her questioning, says, Ms. Jabbari, you said you were in the bedroom when this picture was taken. I took this photo. Okay, where was the defendant when you took this photo? It was the next, like in the next room or something, not in the bedroom. Could you show the members of the jury what objects the defendant threw? Everything that you see through, and there is a dent, like a dent in the wall. Is one of the candles, and there's a glass where one of the candles, or maybe two of the candles smashed. I'm not sure. So what this is telling me is there is 2 reasons why I would find it very plausible for someone to take a pictures this early. She has either been in an abusive relationship, she has had regrets where she probably hasn't documented sufficiently. So that could be recall. That could be enough justification to as to why she was taking these photos at the time. Because the reason why I'm kind of giving these possibilities is because there was she has been touted to have been setting him up, so that one day she could use his photos, etc. I mean, where that's plausible, I would understand, but at the same time, it's something I would do as well, because I've been in a dynamic like this, not in the sense that she throws stuff, etc., or damage things around me, but in a sense that if it came to text messages that she was sending, very this is the other extreme end. So it's not as big as this, but it's on the minor end, if that makes sense. So if she was to text me things, I would start screenshotting things like that. So I would screenshot the vital things, but I would only have done that if it was to send to somebody else, because at the time I was receiving advice from the priest or rabbi that had wedded us. So I was sending it to him because I was like, how do I handle this? I need your help, blah, 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 blah. So I was sending it to him. That was my justification for taking those text messages. So for taking those screenshots and sending it to him. I don't know what her justification is. I don't know if she was planning to go to the police. I don't know if she was sending this to a therapist. I'm just kind of giving a bit of insight as to why someone would do this. Not saying that she didn't want to set him up, because she could have well done this so that she can one day put this all out there. The only devil advocacy I would play to that is, if that was her plan, she would have done it maybe at the height of all this, but then But then again, I don't know people's motives, can't speak to people's motives, etc. All I know is, and we're gonna get to the next part that to kind of put my thoughts into perspective. So we will put a pin on this and return to it probably today or another stream. So Denise, sorry, or the next stream, sorry. So Denise says, did they say that the damage? Did they say the damage was on the wall? Not seeing it. So I'm gonna go back to the thing. So I think she's talking about here. I think she's talking about here. I mean, I don't see it myself. I don't know what wall she's referring to. Maybe here. I mean, it would be convenient if she says that this was hiding the damage, which then we know that, oh, you're full of S now, because you were clearly, doing this for a nefarious purpose. But I don't see the dent that they're referring to. So Denise is quite right by pointing that out. Okay, let the record. Okay, sorry. Okay, when the defendants threw those objects, how close were you to those objects? The first thing that he threw was the candle, and I stood back there, and he was probably about here. Let the record reflect. Ms. Jabbari pointed to. Am I allowed to do that? Your Honor, I can't see what's happening. Okay, that's Priya chiming in. Okay, I was stood there, and he was stood here. Okay, Judge intervenes saying, do you want Ms. Jabbari to put a marking on the photo, and then we can show it to the defense counsel, so the defense counsel will say exactly where? Prosecution response, we're saying yes, Your Honor. Prosecution goes back to asking a question, saying, Ms. Jabbari, if you could draw a circle where the defendant was and an X where you were standing. The judge intervenes saying, all right, if we could show that to the defense, this way they know exactly at each stage what has been put on the exhibit. Priya says, can I just hear the testimony again of, so judge interrupts saying, do you want to ask the question again? Prosecution says yes. Asks Grace Jabbari saying, Miss Jabbari, the place that you marked X, what does that indicate? X is me. Judge says, all right, do you want Miss Jabbari put next to the X, maybe in parentheses, Miss Jabbari, or prosecution says yes. Prosecution asks, could put your initials next to that? Just initial next to where I was. Yes, thank you. So Grace asks, just initial next to where I was. Prosecution says yes, thank you. Can you show to the members of the jury? Grace responds, do I give it to them? Publish it. Thank you. Ms. Jabbari, could you explain why you took this photograph? I took the photo because the shift in his temper was something I was aware of, and sorry. It's okay, take your time. Yeah, I just wanted to remember, like, I know I kept forgiving, but I just wanted to like have a bit of memory of him. Guys, in the chat, I've been fair to him, right? Sorry, not fair to him, fair to her. I try to give like some kind of justification for why she did this. Please put in a chat and let me know. Do you think what she answered makes any sense? Because I didn't take my screenshots because I wanted a memory of her. I just wanted help. At least that was my reason. But why would you want? This is a very distressing sight. What man? Are you a psycho or something? Like, why would you want to remember this? But again, maybe this is why people had the suspicion. Not saying they read this transcript, they probably have read it, but maybe this is why people were having, the suspicion that she was probably setting him up, because it's not making sense why you would want this memory of him, because this is clearly, I mean, look at the scene. This is clearly distressing. Why would you want to remember this like that? I want to have a memory of him. Again, I'm not an expert, but it just sounds like she's leaving things out to me. I've been not in this dynamic where things were thrown, etc., but it did get physically violent. It did get emotionally abusive, and also spiritually as well, which is a whole different kind of worms, but we'll go into that. But those things were those things were present. So anyway, moving on. And after the defendant threw through these objects, what happened next? He started, and I was saying to him, like, please stop, calm down, like, you don't need to be doing this. And then he started like really crying, like shaking and crying, saying like self-hatred things, like he's a monster. Just say, just like kind of things, like just say, yeah, really crying was the main thing. Oop, sorry, my mouse. Oh, my mouse ran out of battery. 1 second. All right, we're back. Okay, so just crying, really crying, what was the main thing that happened? So again, Solidov asked a good question here. He says, wonder if they were her own items. Yeah, that's a great question. If they were not her own items, then I want to know what that was. But because it would speak volumes if it was his items, but if it was her items, she would have made it, in my opinion, made it known here at this point, because it's her personal belongings. They are of value to her. But again, I don't like this answer where she was trying to calm him down, do all those things, and what I was expecting to hear is I wanted to show him what he's done wrong, or I just wanted to send it to my sister so that she knows, so that I can get help from, I don't know, something. But I don't know what her answer is indicative of. It's just confusing. It's not proof of anything. It's just confusing me why that would be her answer, to have memory of him. That doesn't make sense. So Denise O says she keeps forgiving him, but he's the one that stops communication, and she does the stuff to get back with him. that's true. And her saying like he was throwing at her, but they missed. I like you, Denise. Thank you so much. So going back to the transcript reading, goes on to say, we read that already. So it says, what did you do in response? This was in response to him saying, trying to calm him down, and he is saying self-hatred things like he's a monster, etc., really crying, etc. So she says, I like kind of hugged him and held him, just like, it's okay, this is me. Do you want to talk about it? Because it gets to this point, and you don't need to be like that. A thought just came into my head. If he was method acting, and she's now using this against him, that's cruel, because she's like, it's me. It's like, unless you're saying that this guy is schizophrenic or someone that is just always going into a self-induced psychosis or something like that, not really perceiving reality, this wouldn't make sense for you to be like, it's me, it's okay, calm down, it's okay. Isn't that a bit weird? Like, I don't know. It sounds like that, but again, but that would lead me to think that it was an insertion. Like, someone, again, I stand by what I'm saying, that she's being coached, because she's now adding things that will make her seem like she was the sympathetic one trying to help. It seems like that to me. Just my opinion, because what I'm reading here is like she's having a different memory that had to do with, I don't know. I just, it's me. It's okay. You can trust me. But okay. But what do you say that would solicit that? I don't know. I'm just gonna go back. And how did this incident impact your relationship? Well, immediately afterwards, he actually was quite nice again. He was basically apologetic and said, it's probably is. He actually kind of thanked me for my patience with him in that moment of the bodybuilding and the stress, and said, it's not going to be like this, it's just this moment, it's really hard, and I understood. I believe that one. That seems plausible. Did you continue a relationship with? Yeah. So that does seem plausible, and the reason why I think it seems plausible is because Jonathan did actually express remorse about this, and he did say, I swiped it, I would never get let my kids, even advise my kids to do something like that. So this does seem like a real memory, and sorry, a real something that's credible, and something Jonathan would have said after all of this. I am side eyeing her reasons for taking the pictures, etc. I think she's again minimizing those and really downplaying her part in all of this. Moving on, she says, the defendant, okay, did you change your behavior after this incident? And then she says, I think with every kind of temper that came, I was trying to learn the triggers. So I guess the element of trying not to let it get to that point, I felt was my responsibility. It's fair to say that you felt responsible for the defendant's emotions. Yeah, see the coaching. That's just what I'm talking about. Anyway, moving on. Your Honor, the instruction that's prosecution speaks to the judge says, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard the testimony about an incident between Ms. Jabbari and Mr. Majors that occurred in July 2022. The evidence again was not offered and must not be considered for the purpose of proving that the defendant had and must not be considered for the purpose of proving that the defendant had a propensity or a predisposition to commit the crimes charged in this case. It is offered as evidence for your consideration as background information. If you find the evidence believable, you may consider it for that limited purpose, but not for others. So again, just consider it as background, but not the likelihood that he would have caused the assault. So it's just background to see what their relationship was like. So if they were to consider it, they might use it to consider maybe intent. That's what I'm getting from it again. Maybe intent, like, is he going to remember all of these things? Like, sorry, not remember. Are all these things playing a part to his mindset, to his mens rea, to basically say, yeah, to basically establish, yeah, he would set out to hurt her, but again, if that was the purpose, all those texts, all those things should have been nullified and taken out of the way the minute he had walked away, put her back in the car. She follows and said it should have been, from what I'm reading, it should have been disqualified completely based on the instruction. Just based on the instruction. Moving on. Officer, so prosecutor says, officer, we could take the exhibit back. Thank you. So directing your attention to September 18th, 2022. Do you remember that day? Yes. Were you living at that time? This is this Toronto Film Festival day, I believe, because Toronto Film Festival, because the Toronto Film Festival is around this time. I believe it starts on the 14th. No, 12th or 14th, around that time, to like the 18th or the 20th or the 22nd. Not really sure. I'm going by the date of 2015. My bad. Moving on. Where were you living at the time? I'm Ms. Jabbari. If you would like short break, the court would be happy to do so. Okay, Ms. Jabbari, let us know. If you need a couple of minutes, just let the court know. Jabbari says, I'm okay. Thank you. Deep breaths. Okay, I was living in London. Miss Guyaway. Okay, and where were you living in London? In Amstead, which is like North London. Why were you living there at the time? Because Jonathan was filming there, I had a flat there, but then because of the films giving him a house, we agreed that I would give up my flat and we would be there together. Okay, so you were living together at the time? Yes. Where were you living? In the Hampstead house. So it was a house. Yes. How large was the house? It was large. Yeah. And did you have any plans on September 18th? Yes. What were those plans? It was Saturday night. It was a Saturday, right? Yeah, I believe it was a Saturday, and he was walking through Friday weekend and for like 2 weeks. But my plans were, because I will be there more or less a month, and one of my best friends still hadn't come and seen the house, and I haven't really seen much of her. So I invited her over, and we just kind of gave her the tour of the house, because it was like one of the biggest houses I have ever been in. It was so nice. It had like a garden, which yeah, it was just really nice. So he came over. We like had catch ups, and Then we just walked up to the road and into the local pub, which is like a pub, which isn't a normal word, right? It's okay. Yes. What did you do while you were at the pub? We like had some little snacks, just like a few drinks. Look, I'm just gonna be straight up. I'm just gonna be straight up. I know I have been fair, I've been trying to be fair, playing devil's advocacy, but I can't ignore the fact that in the testimony of the doctor, I think it's stick. I think that's all I have to say. I'm not too sure. I don't know, but the doctor testified of his C score about having like she was likely having audit C score that she was likely having an alcohol disorder. I cannot hear that and then unring it. You can't unring that bell. I actually do think that she is, in my personal opinion, I'm not, I do think that she is an alcoholic, and they do have a chance to minimize. A few drinks to them is probably 6 bottles. My few drinks is 1. Mine, it's like, yeah, 1 few glasses maybe. I would always qualify with glasses, but she's like a few. Anyway, moving on. There's 2 different people. I'll be fair. Let's move on. What do you mean by a few drinks? We had maybe like a few, I think 2 glasses of wine. I was drinking wine and she was drinking, I don't know, something else. Approximately how long were you at the pub? I was there for quite a long time. We talked a lot, probably at 4 hours. You didn't have a few glasses of wine. No. If you, we're gonna get to it. Did you spend time with anyone else at the pub? No, just me and her. And after the 4 hours are concluded, what did you do next? Well, we were still there, and Jonathan texted me saying that he had finished early and he was going to go back to the house to train with his trainer. This is the audio, by the way, the context behind that audio about I'm a great man doing great things. So he says, I'm sorry to cut you off. Finish early from what? Did you understand? From his job. Okay, continue. So we had text. He had texted me, and we then said, okay, let's just go back to the house. And yeah, we walked back. She had also left her bag and coat and stuff there. So we walked back, and he was there with his trainer because there was a gym. And me and Grace, she was also called Grace, my friend, and she and I were just like, that must be surreal. Grace and like knowing someone that's called like that, I can't do it. I don't know. I just wouldn't be friends. I don't know. It's just me. I'm sorry. Moving on. Anyway, at that point, what would you say your level of intoxication was? Not high. You said in the audio you got drunk. Moving on. Would you say that you were tipsy? Yeah, maybe. You said drunk. I'm sorry, but this is the minimization I've never seen. You said you were drunk in the audio. That's exciting, or that's what you said. Moving on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She said, I'm sorry. I went out. Anyway, moving on. Would that be the same for your friend based on your observations? Yeah. You said you said you went to the house. You were speaking. Did you have any plans that night with Grace? Just to chill at the house, really, just to do what we were already doing. What happened next? He finished training, and because his trainer was also there, and he was saying he was hungry. I said, Jonathan, I said, why don't I order us all some food? We could sit and have it together. I knew his trainer and he knew my friend, so everyone was like, yeah, that's a good idea. So I ordered some food. I don't know why Grace didn't come in then. I don't know. Why didn't Grace come and testify? I don't know. Let's move on. What kind of food did you order? Like chicken and rice, vegetables and stuff. And when you saw the defendant, what was his demeanor like? It shifted from when he first said hi into the moment of like food coming. And what do you mean by shifted? Like just became cold to everyone? Yeah. And what happened next? I was like, did that happen? And he just getting a bit snappy. Is that the right word? Just quick with his response, sorry, and wasn't friendly. And I just thought, okay, he's tired, so let me just get everyone out of the house. So yeah, the food came, and I was just like, you can just take it to go. So they took it and they left, and me and him stayed in the house. Okay, and how was the rest of your evening? I don't know what word is. Sorry, I don't know what the word is. Just that not just not that nice. Sorry guys, trying to go. Yeah, keep everything flowing. Anyway, moving on. Can you explain what you mean by that? Well, actually, I had a phone call with my mom, and she was really making me laugh because it was the point when the queen had died, and everyone in England queued for hours to go and look at the coffin, and if that's the right word. And she had told me that her and dad were in a queue. And I was laughing because me and my friend were talking about that earlier, how British it is, just one long big queue and that kind of thing. At that point, he had gone up to bed, and I was like, and I was getting ready for bed. I was on the phone with my mom, uh, uh really laughing. I thought it was funny, and he didn't like that I was laughing on the phone. How did you know that? He kind of told me. Okay, what did you what did you do next? I said it wasn't right to be on the phone. I was also to an extent did not understand because I think he had work the next day, and but he'd been working. What do you do next? I just kind of hung up on the phone and went to bed. What if anything happened the next day, which would be September 19th? Okay. So let me actually, right. So what is being posed here? I'm guessing here is I'm guessing what's being posed here is the audio that we heard happened the next day. So she didn't really come back drunk that same night. That this was the next day. I can't wait for cross examination. Just for her to appear. I can't wait for cross examination. Anyway, let me go to the chat really quickly because I have been neglecting you guys for a bit. Dennis Oates, very active, basically says, no, the relationship is driving him crazy, and she makes him feel it. She makes it feel weird. She makes you feel weird for feeling this way. Okay, that must be in reaction. He was producing that movie too, wasn't he? Creed. I think you meant. I think you know about Creed. Let me check that. I think he was credited as a producer for that movie. No, I don't want to watch it. Damn it. I think he was created as a producer. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Ryan Coogler directed it, but it's not here. I can't see it. Yeah, he's in that. Oh my word. I'm just looking at it, and Majors is not even Jonathan Majors is not even on the main cast where everyone can see. Oh wait, no, he is. My bad. Reading it wrong. Okay, so moving on. I think it. No, it's not here. I can't see him. I can't see producer credits. So it's probably either magazine dreams or something similar. I can't see producer credits. I don't know. Uh, nope. It's not here. Nope, not there. It's not there. All right, moving on. So I'm just gonna let me go back and read the rest of the chat. Is this Dennis Oil says? Is this the reason that our boyfriend unalived himself? What happened to with the dog? She's a disease in a community. Maybe I have no idea. I see why the defense brought up. Yeah, I can see it too, because. But I want to see the justification for it. I know there's a backstory for bringing it up, because if they were talking about Jonathan's suicide and how and leading up to the fact that she was on not really that supportive, then I can see why that would be relevant to bring up the ex-boyfriend and say, you want, is that why he committed it? Just to shake her off a game. I have no idea. But we're gonna go back to the reading. But before we do, we don't have long left for the stream. 15 more minutes, to be exact. So please, let's go for the final push. Hit the like button, hit the share button. Let your friends know about this stream. Let everyone know so that they can come and join in and see the fact finding of this. Well, see us bring the facts out, I should say, of this particular case, the Jonathan Majors trial, because he was found guilty of third degree reckless assault. This is reckless, and he was found guilty of intentional harassment or aggravated. I don't know, but at the same time, he was acquitted of everything in intent. Nate, the lawyer, joined gave an impromptu guest, sorry, and he joined the previous stream yesterday. You can find that on the Heinz report playlist or podcast, and I will also provide it in the description. He basically discussed his prospects of appeal, and he says he could likely win on an inconsistent verdict because it was inconsistent in regards to the reckless assault charge, as well as the harassment, and him being found not guilty for the aggravated harassment. So he believes that that there could be a new trial based on how inconsistent those verdicts were. How he was found reckless, reckless assault, but then not guilty on intentional harassment, which is basically the same thing, but also found guilty on intentional harassment. So it was a very informative stream. You can go check that out. But yeah, we don't have long. Let's go back into the let's go back into the transcripts, and we're still going through the direct exam of Grace Jabbari. So the DA asked, what if anything, prosecution, what if anything happened the next day, which would be September 19th. I then woke up and I could tell he was still in a bit of a mood. I thought, I'm just going to go out and come home with coffee and breakfast and try to make it just nice. Like, yeah. So I did that, and I went on a walk. And also, my grandparents had been there at the time, and on the phone with my mom and dad, hearing they just left the queue, catching up with them, things like that. When you say you went for a walk, where were you? Yeah, on the eve. It, it was opposite our houses. It's kind of like a park, a heath. What, if anything, happened while you were at the park? As I was leaving, he was walking in. Did you speak with the defendant? Yeah. What happened next? He kind of, yeah. Well, I said to him, are you okay? Now try to like kind of gauge the temper, I guess, and just be like, let's have a nice day kind of thing. And he said, yeah, just like, what are you doing? How dare you? How do you go for, you see what I'm trying to say? Like, it's either she's been coached and she's trying to piece it all together the way that she's been coached to say, so that she can successfully establish that he has this pattern of abuse, like in terms of psychological harm, because that's what Alvin Bragg was releasing in his press statement. It's either that, because it doesn't make sense how he goes from, yeah, just like, what are you doing, to how dare you? Surely it's not okay. I was like, no, I actually don't know what you mean. I don't like really understand why you are in the mood. Were you both speaking at the park at this point? We were like on the path, and I had been walking out, and he just walked in. So we kind of stopped where we met. Did you understand why the defendant was upset with you? Objection, rephrase that. Speculation, that will be. What was the defendant saying to you? Ultimately, that if I don't understand why he's upset, then I am an idiot. Okay, this is plausible. This part is plausible. And yeah, I'm like, I'm stupid, of course, and start calling me an alcoholic, and You were, lady, you were caught on camera in a restaurant sneaking drinks. Again, I think that she's minimizing a lot here. She's misstating a lot because if if you're making this a point to put out there, like saying, it's that's how it's coming across. Because you're obviously going to remember the bad things he's done. Because again, if you've been coached to frame this as anything like that, this will fit verbal abuse. You know, but it would have to constitute verbal abuse or being like that if the thing is not true. So if he's just saying that to gaslight you because you've had a few drinks or whatever, like you just had one sip and he's like, oh my gosh, you're an alcoholic, then that will be like, well, that's kind of psychological warfare kind of thing. But if you've been doing that on end, because again, she was seen sneaking drinks and like, this is valid. This is not abuse. He's just saying you could have an issue. Anyway, moving on. Okay, what happened next? I was just like, go on. He had a script in his hand, and I was just like, walked off kind of thing. So, okay. Okay. I just thought, I don't understand. Let me just leave. And he kind of came up behind me and tore my headphones out of my ears and started stomping on them and what? And shouting really loudly. Okay, just like, you better not be in the house when I get home. He stomped on your headphones. Sorry, yeah, just really loudly and shouting in my face, and then he just turned around and left. So I was on my own. So I just kind of picked up the broken headphones, started walking out when these kind of two people ran up on me. I don't know why, but yeah, it should have. This would have been reported. I don't know why. What it would have been reported, but anyway, I think I need a break. So that's what Grace said. The court said, judge says, "Do you need a break?" All right, ladies and gentlemen, what we're doing is take a Isabel for a couple of minutes, and then when ready, we'll call you back into the courtroom. Maybe we'll see if she's ready. Whereupon, short pause in proceedings occurred, and the court officer said, "We're ready. Witness entering." So she comes back into the courtroom. Do I need something? You are reminded you're still on the oath. Okay, non-verbal response. Most likely nodding her head. Okay, you were speaking about how the defendant was yelling at you. How loud was the defendant yelling at you? Like, to his full capacity. What, if anything, were you saying in response? Nothing. And what happened next? Yeah, I said, picking up the stuff that was broken, and these two strangers, like, separately, a man and a woman, ran over and just kind of like, "Are you okay? Do you need us to call anyone?" Objection. That will be hearsay. Sustained. Members of the jury disregard that last comment. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Based on what the defendant was yelling at you, what did you do next? I walked as fast as I could back to the house. I called a friend to see if they were home. Did you make it to the house? I made it to my house. Yeah. What did you do when you arrived at the house? I walked up to the dressing room and just started to, like, get a bag of stuff together. And why were you packing your bags? Because he had told me to leave. And were you able to pack any of your belongings? No. Why not? Because I heard him. Because I heard him running up the stairs, so I just kind of froze. Why did you freeze? Because I could hear him coming. Okay, because I could hear him coming. What happened next? He proceeded to, like, grab everything from the wardrobe, like anything he could see. He just grabbed, like, past me and was throwing it into this room, another room. Yeah, like swiping everything into bags or like on the floor and just like moving and throwing it. And anything I had bought him, he just like breaking or taking that out or taking out, like walking down the stairs, taking it outside to the trash bins outside there. So yeah, I just kind of stopped. You could stop. I'm leaving. I promise. Just please stop. You don't need to do this. Like, so I just got my keys and got in my car. I'm backing up a little bit while the defendant was. I'm backing up a little bit while the defendant was taking your belongings. Can you explain to the members of the jury where you were in the home? Yeah, when he started, it was like, so he was going into the changing room and taking things off the hangers, and I was stood yeah, like very close to him. I was just still, and he was kind of walking and just getting everything. I stood still for the majority of that until he started then going downstairs with some of the items, and then doing the same with any items downstairs, which was, I was saying to him, just stop. I'm going, like, you don't have to do this. You don't have to make this mess kind of thing. How were you feeling at the time? Scared, upset, confused? Was the defendant anything while he did this? He was just blaming me. He's like, this is your fault. You've disturbed the peace or something like that, and kept saying, how dare I, and things like that. What did you? This is what I have the difficulty with. I can just tell there is so much minimization. There is so much context to what she's saying, that everything that she's saying here, any reasonable man would want to inquire what happened. Why is she saying this? I don't know. Will not suffice in things like this. He's packing on your stuff to leave. I don't know. Just doesn't cut it. Moving on, he was upset that I had come home the previous night with my friend and brought her into the house when he wanted a when he decided so he wanted he had decided that he didn't want anyone there. I think is what I thought. I still don't really know actually. You asked, I know you asked him. If he right, alcoholic, we know you said that. So I'm sorry. There is a lot of minimization here, and I hate it because there is a lot more to this, and she's just downplaying her behavior and her role. I can just tell by reading it. Moving on. What do you mean? I still don't really know. Actually, he called you an alcoholic, and you know you're not an alcoholic. Assuming she doesn't think that she's an alcoholic. Bear in mind here, he calls you that, and you don't inquire at all why he would think that. Nothing at all. No, not nothing. It doesn't strike your mind. Okay, all right. Going back to going back to this. It says in the same room. Nope. That's not it. You stated that you stated the defendant broke some of the belongings. Yeah. Do you remember what belongings he broke? He broke this like coffee thing. I bought him. Everything else, I can't remember exactly what those items were. I just remember that because I had just bought him for a gift. Just gonna go here quickly. Candles, etc. Okay, the reason why I went to see the picture is because sometimes you can, if you are my own hunch, I don't know if it's valid, but of course, if you are adding to a story and fabricating, there's a likelihood you're gonna mix memories together, especially in an event that happened like last year or or 2 years prior. So um yeah, that I just wanted to see if it was just there and she just picking memories to add to the story. Anyway, moving on. Everything else I can't. Okay, so how did he? But I will point out here, she didn't take a picture of this. She said she wanted a memory, so she didn't want a memory of this as well. Okay. How did he break it? By throwing it on the floor. Where were you when he threw it? In the same room, not as close. And you stayed. The defendant went downstairs. Yeah. What was the defendant doing downstairs? Just objection. Just rephrase your answer. That would be speculation. Yeah. Prosecution says, did you see the defendant downstairs? Yeah. When he marched downstairs, I actually saw him like going out to the bins and stuff. So then I just was like, this is really silly. Let me just get out of here. So I followed him down down one of his trips and just said, like, look, just calm down. I'm going to go. What did the defendant do in response to you saying that? Just kept marching inside the house and bringing stuff out of the bins, the trash cans. Sorry, it's okay. Did there come a time when you did leave the house? Yeah, I got in the car and left. Did there come a time when you returned? Yes. Why did you return? I was at my friend's house. I was at a friend's house and he was texting me, just saying, when you say he, I'm sorry. Jonathan was texting me and he was saying things like yeah, basically worrying. I was telling people what he had been doing to me and like worrying that it ruined our future potential relationship if my parents found out, and it was going to ruin, and I want to marry you, and this will and this ruin it if you tell anyone. And I promised you, no, I'm not saying anything. I just wanted to get out of the house. And he was basically like, I love you and I'm going to put everything back and make it really nice. Like, just a fresh start, just come back. I love you. Why did you return home? Because I believed him. I saw the temper. I saw the temper. I always saw this as this thing he didn't want to have. Like, I didn't ever think it was malicious. Really, I just thought he can't control it. He does love me, and like he was telling me everything that made me feel good after, and I believed him. What happened when you return home? I returned home, and I think because I had been with friends, I felt probably more strong to just say like, I forgive you, please, but please, this has to stop. But because I said that instead of coming back and just pretending nothing had happened, which was probably a pattern before, he then got heated again. What do you mean by heated? Raised his voice, shouted at me, and what if anything was the defendant saying? Just like how I and what if anything was the defendant saying? Just like how dare I go out, calling me an alcoholic? I was an embarrassment to him, and like I needed. Do you see what I mean? And like I needed to realize that like when he's busy, I should just be waiting at home, like not doing anything. And like when he's busy, it's not for me to go and see my friends. I need to keep it nice for him. Like he said, this what's happening, why I was not doing that kind of stuff like that. Okay, we're gonna adjourn there. It's page 68. We're gonna go back, but I do have a couple of closing words before going to that. I'm gonna read a couple of chat. Denise, very active, thank you, says he was probably talking to her and she had the headphone on and not listening. I don't look, this headphone's breaking. I don't think that happened. I don't know. I don't think that happened. You know, she always close to him when things yeah. Okay, we know that she never packs to leave. She was just not moving. Okay, I will say this. These are my final. I will say this. The reason why I paused for a bit, because I did pause. The reason why I paused for a bit was mainly because of the fact that she was basically saying that he was apologetic, etc. But then, from what I'm reading, that characterization kind of changed to he was embarrassing, alcoholic, etc. He got heated when he was like, you aren't like, so he trying to reconcile everything. She said this has to change, the anger cannot stop. And then out of nowhere, she's like, well, you're an alcoholic, you're this, you're that. Based on what I'm reading. Because he did have a problem with her getting drunk and coming back to the house. My theory has always been they are broken up. This is September 19th or around September. My theory has always been they had broken up and he was not going to take her back unless there was a change in behavior, which would explain. Because again, I don't go by people's words. I go by evidence. I go by the evidence you can't control. And what I do know is you can't control this if you are having to sneak drinks at a restaurant. You're sneaking this and you're drinking it. This means you didn't want him to know that you were drinking, and you were trying to be on your best behavior, because it was it was true that they broke up and he was single. I don't know when, but from what it's sounding here is, in my opinion, Grace was the one that was asking that she would, going back to the to the transcripts, just by what I'm reading. It seems to me like Grace was the one that was saying, "I do love you." He was the one that was, you know, saying, "Let's have a fresh start." She was the one saying, "Let's have a fresh start." All this, there can be a change. Let's do all this. And then he's like, "No, I don't want to do this." And he made and again, remember the video that I showed in the last stream, which was of her at Toronto Film Festival? I don't think he wanted her there. I think he just wanted to get rid of her, well, whatever, and she just gate crashed and showed up. And I firmly believe, based on what she's saying here, because it wouldn't make sense as that he's just bringing up this alcoholic thing and just bring up out of blue if she's saying this has to change. What has to change? Okay, the anger, etc., all those things. So he brings up, well, you're an alcoholic, so this and that. Does that make sense for someone? Never mind. But never mind. I'm going because could that happen? Yeah. Could it happen? Yes. Could it happen that he didn't get his way and then he just sends that her way? Of course, it's possible. That could happen. I just don't believe it did here. That's just my opinion. I don't believe it did here. I think what is more likely, if you're having to sneak drinks, again, if this is not an issue, why are you sneaking drinks when you're with him, knowing he has a temper, knowing that you're afraid to live with him? Why are you sneaking drinks at the bar? Doesn't add up. But we're gonna adjourn there for now. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for you using the chat. If you're watching this on Replay Crew, please do like this and share. And also don't forget, of course, subscribe for more content that we are putting out there. We have loads more content dropping up, popping up. I have there are interviews that you can watch in regards to the Depp v. Heard trial and get a lot more insight from lawyers and also media correspondents that work within the media landscape, and they know how the media works. I was asking them questions in respect of this to try and get as much information as to what we were talking about. So yeah, do go check out the interviews. They are all on the video page. Also check out the previous lives and the coverage of this case. Again, nothing but the facts. We had lives with Danny, who was in court daily. You can compare and contrast the transcripts to what she was saying. There's a lot more you can educate yourself with. I go by the name of Dr. Heinz. Thank you so much for joining me on this stream. Don't forget to once again like, share this stream, and of course subscribe to the channel. And yeah, Replay Crew, thank you so much. Also, if you want to support the channel, make sure you do so by sending a super thanks or joining the membership program into the Heinz Hall, where we give bonus content that isn't really legal. So it's completely different kind of content that goes into more of my interest. So if you like content like that, consider joining the Heinz Hall and get your Heinz Hall pass. Gonna announce that as the channel go on. So I'm going to announce the perks that you get with all of that. But for now, thank you so much, and take care of yourself. I'm gonna sign off. Have a good day, night, or morning, wherever you're at. Take care. Bye bye. I'm just gonna read everyone's chat before I go. Blessings, everyone. Flavio, thank you so much. And Denise, have a good day to you too. I'll just turn this to yesterday. Okay, happy birthday. Hope you had a great day. And yeah, we're gonna close out. Thank you so much once again. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.